Hi, welcome to another episode of History in 7 Facts. In this show, we'll explore some of the most interesting things that we know or not know about our own past. In the first chapter, we'll explore some of the things we know about the origins of human beings, and in today's episode, we'll take a look at who were the first people to find and settle the Americas. If you think you already know the answer, think again. Initially, the American continents were completely devoid of humans. That's something we know for sure, although that's not really true. In April 2017, remains of some peculiar mastodon bones were found near San Diego. They're peculiar because they seem to have been smashed by rocks in order to extract the marrow. The only problem is that the bones are 130,000 years old, and if this claim turns out to be true, we may have just found evidence of a human species, perhaps Neanderthals, living in America long before any modern human ever set foot there. But this is still up for debate, so let's concentrate on what we do kinda know. Currently, the most popular theory is that modern humans came to America some 15,000 years ago, but whether they came from Siberia, Japan, Australia, or even Europe is amazingly still up for debate. In 1929, a quartz spearhead was found near Clovis, New Mexico. The blade was sharp and it was clearly made by someone and used for killing. Next to the spearhead was the skeleton of a woolly mammoth, probably killed by that same spear. The remains were found to be 11,500 years old, making them the oldest evidence of human activity in all of America. Soon, other similar artifacts were found, dating from roughly the same period, and it coincided with the disappearance of every large animal in North America, from the woolly mammoth to the giant armadillos and the elephant-sized giant sloths. Whoever these Clovis people were, they were clearly determined to survive and thrive, not fearing to confront their giant prey, and their efficacy most likely led to the extinction of these animals, at least in the Americas. These findings were the starting point of the debate of who were the first Americans. Several theories were hatched only to be shattered by new findings that contradicted them. This isn't so surprising since the period we're looking at was, in geological terms, very small. When studying periods of millions of years, a few thousand years here and there don't make much of a difference, but in this case we have to study a period of 10 to 15,000 years, which in the grand scheme of things was just a few hours ago. So 1,000 years can have a huge impact on any study. Nevertheless, by 1933, an official version of the colonization of America was established, and it went like this. The Clovis people came from Siberia at the end of the last ice age, when sea levels were up to 90 meters lower than today, and Siberia was connected through a land bridge to North America. Using this land bridge called Beringia, people could migrate to this new fertile and bountiful continent. The earliest date of this migration was set in 10,000 BC, since before that the land bridge was covered by ice sheets, making travel impossible. So, before 10,000 BC, no humans. Afterwards, there were the Clovis people. Archaeological evidence do prove to this day that such a migration did happen. Spearheads of the same shape and form were found in Siberia too, near the Bering Strait, the presumed location of Beringia, now swallowed by the Arctic Ocean. This part of Siberia was inhabited by the Yuktay people, so they are a prime candidate for the ancestors of the Clovis. But were they the first ones? If the Yuktay did migrate to America, there is no trace of them today. Genetic studies have shown that today's Native Americans trace their origins to a different part of eastern Eurasia, Mongolia. These results are backed up by a surprising visible evidence. The dental imprints of many Native Americans are virtually identical to those of modern-day Mongols. This is not simply a coincidence, but the result of a common genetic trait, a family resemblance if you wish. However, this is not the full picture, because there is evidence to suggest that modern humans came to the Americas before 10,000 BC, thus suggesting that the Clovis people were not the first ones. One surprising theory states that the Clovis people didn't come from Asia at all, but rather from Western Europe. Advocates of this theory claim that there are clear similarities between the Clovis Spearhead and those found in the Iberian Peninsula from the same period. The same scientists also claim that there are also similarities between the language of the Cree Indians and the Basque dialect spoken in southern France, a dialect that is not Indo-European and has no relation with any spoken languages today. However, traveling across the Atlantic was a difficult task to say the least, even in the times of Columbus, let alone in the Stone Age. But the Iberian theory suggests that people could have used the large icebergs that dotted the Atlantic, since it was a period of Ice Age after all. When the weather was bad, these people could have just hopped on one of these giant ice sheets and ride out the storm. Obviously, this theory is outlandish to say the least. However, it cannot be ruled out completely. But if you think Europe as a starting point is too unlikely, don't worry, there are other possible starting points that are even farther away. In 1999, Richard Neve, a British expert in forensic facial reconstruction, was given a skull to reconstruct its facial features. The Lucia woman was found in 1975 in Brazil, and her remains were dated to be as much as 12,000 years old, making them among the oldest human remains ever found in America. The results of Neve's reconstruction were shocking to say the least. Her facial features, as you can see in this image, are clearly that of a negroid, a term used in forensic anthropology to describe the morphological and skeletal traits that are present among the populations of sub-Saharan Africa and some parts of Southeast Asia and Australia. Her face was not that of a Siberian, European, or modern Native American. This implies that it might have been possible for ancient humans who were migrating from Africa to Australia some 40,000 years ago to have found their way to South America, arriving there 12 to 15,000 years ago. And a site in Monteverde, Chile, seems to confirm this theory. That site was dated to be 14,500 years old. And the Pedra Furada site in Brazil seems to hold ancient remains up to 30,000 years old. So, as was the case in the past, basically every new remains that are found in America seem to shatter previous theories. But I think we can safely conclude that the Clovis people using the Bering Land Bridge were probably not the first Americans. Other groups could have migrated before them from Australia or Polynesia, and the European theory, as I said, cannot be dismissed completely, since it is possible that by using canoes, those early Europeans could have sailed near the coastline and the ice sheets further up north and make frequent stops to hunt, fish, rest, and wait for any storms to pass. Confused already? Wait, because I still have one more theory for you. In 2001, a study from the University of Michigan highlighted another possible link between Native Americans and humans from the so-called Old World. They compared features of different skulls from both modern times and ancient, coming from various places throughout the entire world. They found that certain key features like the size and shape of the nasal pyramid were almost identical between two groups, the Jomon people and certain Native Americans like the Cherokee, Blackfoot, and the Sioux. The Jomons are the prehistoric people that inhabited the islands that today are part of Japan. The closest relatives of these people are the Ainu, which are to this day a separate ethnic group from Japanese, living in the northern regions of Hokkaido. And 10,000 years ago, that region was not of islands, but connected to the mainland, so migration was much easier. Furthermore, there are certain genetic traits that connect these populations, such as the so-called ATL retrovirus. So what's the conclusion? Well, there was more than one wave of humans colonizing the Americas, probably coming from more than one region. Many of these people might have left no trace, making their discovery impossible. Who were the true first Americans? All of them. They were all pioneers, and their combined efforts produced the populations and cultures of the historic Native Americans. Thank you for watching this episode of 7 Facts. I hope this video was interesting and informative, and maybe it even inspired you to look into it further on your own. If you liked this video, please thumbs up and subscribe. While you're downstairs, let me know what you think about this video. Please consider visiting my Patreon page and becoming a patron. The link is in the description. I hope to see you next time. Bye.